Leader of the official opposition, Erin O'Toole, is here with his reaction to this. Mr. O'Toole, always good to have you on the program. What do you make about the bouncing vaccines here? Do you believe that Canada will still get the promised 4 million doses that the Prime Minister said and that Pfizer still suggests we will get?
Well, as I always say, Evan, this is a pandemic. We want the government to succeed here. But the same concerns we had in the fall, that there wasn't a clear plan, are now playing out. The Prime Minister's own numbers change by the hour. What he told us in the House yesterday changed in a memo to the provinces today. It also seems like we're wasting doses because we can't access the vial. Can you imagine wasting such a precious commodity at this time? So there's no way they can make their numbers for September. The fact that they keep repeating them like regular talking points in the House doesn't give the country confidence. We need to strive for better. We need doses quickly so we can reopen the economy. Okay,
let's talk about, so you're suggesting that this will put the key target dates in jeopardy. The Prime Minister, and I've asked Anita Anand this explicitly, she says they're still going to hit those 6 million, 20 million, and then everybody by the end of September, at least with one dose. They are explicit that they will get that with the Pfizer and with the Moderna doses alone. Why do you doubt that?
Well, unless they change the monograph, it's supposed to be 2 doses, Evan, and clearly they're wasting 1 dose in the vial now, and this week we're getting 0. They would need to have about 2 million a week to meet that goal by September, because there's 30 million people that would have to be inoculated. So if you use that target date, that is their date, and the deliveries we see, none this week of the Pfizer, very few next week, they just can't meet that target. So let's explore how we can meet it. Can we access other sources? Can we get some from the Michigan plant? How are they going to fill that gap? That's the lack of confidence we have in this government. And the syringes, they didn't even order them until late fall. So they didn't have a plan. It's scramble mode at a time we need a serious planning government.
Yeah, first of all, I don't think there's any shot of getting anything from the Kalamazoo plant. Joe Biden's facing calls for shortages on his side, and we haven't seen the contracts, of course, in terms of guaranteeing our supply. Let me ask you this. Do you think that the Canadian government should be more transparent by showing those contracts so we can say, okay, we are guaranteed these supplies?
There has to be transparency. They've hidden the contracts. They've fought to keep the Health Committee from even examining the pandemic response. And we're only getting a few documents each week to sort of see where can we improve, where we could do better. You've heard us, Evan. We thought it was a huge mistake for them not to manufacture vaccines here in Canada. It's clear they had a lot of options. They experimented with China for months and didn't tell the country that that deal had fallen apart. So that was a huge miss. And at a time, they should have known this would happen, because we saw this with PPE last spring. Countries weren't letting supplies leave their country. We should have been manufacturing here in Canada. So that's really the reason we're so behind.
Right. Now, they said that they couldn't manufacture the Pfizer and Moderna model because it's an mRNA. I know there's a company in Calgary that we had the CEO on that said, yes, we could, but certainly the technology for the AstraZeneca that's on the cusp of approval could be. There's no licensing agreement there. What about the EU threat to implement export control measures? That is going on a lot around the AstraZeneca. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, said, no, the EU has assured him they won't cut off supply. Concerns about that?
I haven't seen that clear assurance from the EU, and the fact that we are dependent on just a few sources from the EU shows we wasted the capacity here, despite the fact they spent several $100 million for the facility in Montreal, and then turned away companies like Providence and others from even trying to get a made in Canada solution. And remember, there was 4 to 5 months wasted partnering with China, which is incredible to think of in the first place. And they didn't get the approval process ready for the mRNA type of vaccine in Canada. So they were slow at each step. This is why we're trying to push for transparency, so that we can have an all hands on deck approach, so that we can vaccinate people and get our country moving.
Yeah, and the Prime Minister keeps saying that they were following guidance on which drugs to buy. But of course, every You know, the famous saying, you had options, sir. Can I just quickly, because I've only got you for a few minutes, switch gears to the Julie Payette report, the former Governor General. A workplace review that led to the resignation of the former Governor General was released last night. The allegations in it, of course, are not facts, but they're allegations. Toxic, harassing, a reign of terror, reign of error, pretty tough words. It apparently went on for the entire time that she was Governor General, for 3 years, led to resignation, sick leave. You want the federal government now to consult with the opposition in choosing the next GG. I thought the whole purpose of Stephen Harper's advisory committee on these appointments was to make this apolitical. Why not just go back to that committee? Why should we make politicians duke it out?
Well, we proposed that today in the House of Commons after 2 days of urging all MPs to support the reestablishment of the committee. That committee worked beautifully. David Johnston, I think, was probably one of the best Governor Generals we've ever had. Depoliticize it. The Prime Minister owns this decision, Evan. He also had to go in and basically demand that she resign. So he's got to own the fact that he sullied a very important office. We're in a bit of a constitutional hole as a result. So he should do the right thing and depoliticize this. And I think a lot of Canadians want to see that. And the whole report is a real indictment on their lack of verification, their lack of consultation. So they got to get it right this time.
Yeah, well, we got to get a Governor General eventually. Mr. O'Toole, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Evan.
Okay, that's the Leader of the official opposition. Again, that report does not determine facts. These are allegations about what happened inside Rideau Hall for 3 years plus.